Okay, here's a little video. Just come down there. I don't think there's usually obviously water in here. We're going up that somewhere. You follow the white lines. Oh, it looks like it's going up there. So we'll see how that goes. Okay, so we just got back from our latest Utah trip, and on that trip we went to San Rafael Swell in central southern Utah. It is a place called 5 Miles of Hell Trail, and it's kind of a famous trail. There's tons of videos on this trail guys have. There's a guy that has like a 6 or 7 part video of him doing it supposedly for the first time. So we're not going to attempt to try to show you the whole deal. Also, video doesn't really do it justice, I will say that. So we'll just show you a little bit of video while we're talking about that trail, and just kind of the biggest question I think people have is, hey, should I do it? And I think, I guess it just depends on you. So the trail is I don't want to know if I want to say it's fun. For me, it wasn't that fun. I did 95% of everything. Spencer helped me up in about 2 spots. He actually rode it up and then helped me in a couple others, maybe 2 others, where he grabbed the front wheel and pulled it up, that kind of thing. So, and I've had a bad problem with my Achilles the last couple years, and now I'm wearing a brace. It's a solid brace. It's kind of gnarly. So on my right foot, so I can't catch myself because my foot is solid, so I can't point down. So that makes it really tough on the trail ride. But we weren't actually even supposed to ride this trail, but we were going to ride in Richfield with our buddy Todd there, and it was too muddy. It had rained too much, so we go, let's just keep going towards Green River, which we were going to ride Green River the next day. So we went ahead and went there, and it was just Spencer and I, and we had planned on riding it for the first time with a group of guys who had done it. We went for the first time, just the 2 of us, and we kind of got a later start. We started around noon or 1, May 1, and it takes about, it depends on your skill level, of course, and everything. And it really isn't 5 miles. It's really about 8 on the main tough trail, at least 8, and maybe even a little longer. And then the entire thing takes about 20 miles, is what our Strava got it at. So 20 miles of the whole thing to get to the start of the trail, do the trail, and then ride. There's this one called Lone Man back. And it's kind of just a junky, whooped out, rocky, wide, ATV wide trail back to your truck. So there's other trails there. There's these colored trails, they call them, and we didn't get to ride any of those. We didn't have time. I probably would do that next time. I've heard there's some decent trails there. I'm not sure if I'm going to do the actual main 5 mile trail again. I'm not sure if I'll ever do it again, but I did it and accomplished it. No, I didn't clean everything and got helped up, but I'm okay with that. So really fun deal. Dirtbikeutah.net. He has really good information and instructions on it, and some videos. And then, like I said, there's plenty of videos online. But his description and everything is pretty accurate. There is, to me, kind of funner stuff in that area. That is a real word. The Green River area, 10 mile wash, really fun, exploring sand dunes, and you can do a lot of the really cool stuff. A lot of the same kind of stuff Moab does, but without all the jeeps and stuff that is kind of annoying. And to me, it's a lot funner, and in that you get just a huge variety of terrain and can see a lot of stuff. There's also a place close to there also called Chimney Rock that not a lot of people know about. And again, that's on dirtbikeutah.net. On his site, he talks about that place, and that place is pretty cool. And we've been there like 4 times now, and the whole map of the place is say it's this big. We've only been in a little quarter of the entire place. We haven't even explored the whole place. Every time we leave, we think we've explored more of it, and then we look on the map later at our route and where we went, and we didn't cover that much. So there's a lot of stuff out there, and that's a really fun place. So as far as the 5 mile trail, it was a really good sense of accomplishment. I actually had a GoPro with a mic on, and it sounds terrible because I was breathing so hard most of the whole time. So it was about 3.5, 4 hours to do the whole thing, and then we were on the main trail for at least 3 hours. And what it felt like for me was walking, imagine walking in your neighborhood. This is for old guys. Walking in your neighborhood at a fast pace, and then every 2 or 3 minutes sprinting for 30 seconds to a minute, and then going right back to that fast walk. that's kind of where your heart rate is the whole time. You're always doing something. It doesn't let up. Where most tough trails, anywhere we go, will have a tough section. And then you get out of that section and you get 5 minutes, 10 minutes of rest or whatever as you go to your next section. This doesn't have that. It is constant. So the biggest rest you have is maybe 20 or 30 seconds, a minute in between a section. You hop into a wash, you're like, oh, cool, and you start pinning it in second, and then you get right to the next up, you know. And we had went right after a rain, and so in some ways it was good for traction down in the washes and in between, but it wasn't good that we couldn't see some of the lines. We missed a couple spots and we had to go back and catch the line. There's no, you have to stay on the trail. And this trail is very remote, so it's a little bit scary in that we were the only two out there, period. If something had gone wrong, I don't know what we would have even done. As far as getting us out, a bike out, riding double out of there would have been terrible. Towing a bike out would have been terrible, impossible. So I don't know what you'd ever do. So knock on wood, we had a brand new bike. Now again, we took our brand new 300XC 19 and beat it up. It was its first real ride and beat it up pretty good. So, but again, that's what I feel like trail bikes are for. So it was okay. So, and then on the way home from those trail trips, we hit Sand Hollow, and that's one of our favorite places to ride. Almost as good as Green River, and it's a lot closer to us in California, being close to St. George. You got really fun sand hill climbs. You got all various rocks to play in, and cool desert trails out in Warner Valley. So really neat areas. So back to the 5 Mile Trail. Should you do it? My answer is if you're, I would say an intermediate trail rider or above with decent, skill set, do it. You want your bike 100%. I see, and also for us, the weather was cool, and I don't know if I'd want it any hotter. We went out with extra shirts on and jacket. We had the stuff off within 2 minutes of being on the trail. So vest, kind of thing was great, and we were 60 degrees or under when we did it. I couldn't imagine doing it over 75 degrees, and I know people do it. I wouldn't do it if it was hot at all. So in the spring or fall, winter, if it's a nice day in the winter, which you can get out there, but you got to plan out for that. And you don't know if it's gonna be good weather or not in January, February, March. So I wouldn't do it when it's hot. Have plenty of water. I wouldn't take a big 450 on it. Now I know guys who've done it on big 450s, who've done it on DRZ 350s, who've done it. There's a guy, Dave, Dirt Bikes Utah. His kid's done it on a 125, which would be gnarly, but they've done it. So you can do it on an unoptimal bike if you're a good rider and can do it. I would definitely have wraparound handguards and make sure everything is working properly on your bike. I would recommend a trials tire. On the rear, we actually ran our gummy Enduro Cross tire, and a couple times we got stuck. Spencer got stuck in a couple spots, and we pin the throttle and you just shred your tire with that gummy tire, which was kind of a waste. We got stuck in some spots you didn't want to fall backwards, so we just pinned it. And so a trials tire works really well on all, and it's, the trail is 90% rock. 90%. People go, it's all really rocky. No, it's on solid rock, and you would just have little tiny sand sections in between the rock sections. So it is constant, and it doesn't let up. It never stops. It was, but it was a great sense of accomplishment to do it. I imagine Spencer will probably do it again someday. He says it's not at the top of his list. Is it at the top of your list? But he'll probably take somebody, show him, and I'll probably stick to maybe one of the colored trails. But I heard even those colored trails have some tough sections. They're just not as long as what the 5 Mile Trail is. And it was a good accomplishment. If you're, say, if you fall down a lot in more simple rides, this wouldn't be a ride for you. And I would definitely, if you're ever going to do it, I would still probably recommend doing it with somebody who's done it before, if you can, if you know anybody who's done it. Otherwise, I think 3 to 4 guys would be best. Bigger group, I think, would even be harder because guys would be messing up and freaking everybody out that they messed up. I think 3 or 4 is probably a good group. We have a couple friends of ours going out in a few weeks to do it, and I'm waiting to hear back how they do. And it's going to be their first time at doing it. So again, I think if you're a good skill level, it's going to be a fun thing to check off your list. If you're an intermediate or pro level, let's say off-road rider, it's not going to be that tough. It's not as tough as people make it out to be if you're a good rider. I've only been trail riding for like say the last 10 years realistically. I was just a motocrossing guy and I wasn't very good at that because I've always been a lifetime novice to intermediate level, rider. But on the trail, picking that up over the last few years, getting better at it, and just doing it more often, I've been able to do it. So, but for a good trail guy, I think he's gonna have a great time with it. If you're a good level trail rider, off-road rider, I think it's gonna be a blast for you because there's plenty of sections where you can wheelie up, and you're gonna see on some of the videos, some of these challenging sections. But it's not as tough as a lot of people make it out to be. But if you're like me, I'm almost 50 years old in 6 months here, and I think it was pretty dang tough, and I was glad to accomplish it. So anyway, real fun deal. San Rafael Swell, 5 miles of hell trail, and we had a good time on the entire trip, but that's a little insight on that trail.